All right, good night. So, welcome everyone to Chess Initiative. I'm Ramon Johnson, and tonight we're going to be looking at a different type of game from one Alexander Alekhine. Some people say Alekhine or Alekhine, and people debate over how you pronounce it. But let's not do that today, okay? Because let's argue about the name of dead people. Yeah. That will be very interesting. But I think some people say it's Ali Akindo, you know. All right. So this is a game that comes from his book, My Best Chess Games. My Best Chess Games from like 18 something to 1909 or 1937 or something. I decided to analyze this game today. Just a change of pace. No more dry games from Ulf Anderson for this week. So after doing my puzzles, just like the video where I did puzzles, I did some puzzles today. I decided to analyze this game with one of my chess friends. So let's go. Let's get started. Let's see. As disclaimer again, we won't be using any engines. We'll be looking to analyze some variations for ourselves. And if a variation is wrong and you see a different idea or a better idea, you can just write it in the comments, and I get to look at it because this is a part of my training. Actually, I'm not just recording so that, hey, let's record a video and let's rehearse everything and then put it up so that people can be like, oh, this is so well analyzed. And nah, I'm training. I'm just recording my training, and you get to see pitfalls of somebody just like really training and trying to get better. So let's go. Starting moves of the game: e4. Aliakin is white, and his opponent is Bernard Gregory something. Yeah, people always remember the champs and the winners. That's why you have to win. E5, natural move. Knight C3, or I think this is called the Vienna game. One of the things is you can go for like a delayed Queen's Gambit type idea. Also, the bishop is looking to come to C4. And hey, let's decide where we put this knight later on. So we don't put the knight on F3 because we may play F4 in some lines or knight E2 in some lines. So we try and get out the knight on to C3 first and then the bishop, right? So I think that's the idea of the opening. Now, one of the things is it doesn't help you to castle as quickly as knight F3, and also it doesn't put pressure on the center square of E5. So let's continue. The game continues on with knight to F6, bishop to C4, as I said, bringing the bishop to a natural square. We're controlling the center. Knight to C6, and here he plays the move D3, I believe. Yes. Now, one of the things he plays D3, he doesn't want to enter this variation where let's say he plays knight to F3 first. You can play knight takes, pawn push, bishop D3, pawn takes, bishop takes, and bishop D6. Now, this is fine, but for somebody who is looking to present their opponent with problems in the opening and giving them something to solve, this is not the best way to play. As we can see, black has a slight space advantage right now, and if we should later on play d4 to get rid of that pawn, we're gonna have a symmetrical structure where I have just as much pawns as you on the same sides of the board. Maybe you take here and give me a double pawn, but now I have the bishop here, so I'm not like losing or anything. So yeah, but he didn't go for something like this. Alekhine, based on this game and some other games that I analyzed in his book, he wants to go for the initiative, chess initiative. So he wants to go for the initiative, and he's gonna keep problems on the board. So pawn to d3, natural, and his opponent plays bishop to b4. Now this is not the best move. White played d3, so we're not putting pressure on e4, and maybe he wants to play d5, but that just doesn't look right to me. But I don't think the bishop belongs on b4. Better yet, maybe bishop to c5, or mm, but it's possibly the most active move. But we also have an idea right here. We also can play knight to a5 and look to take off the bishop here. No, one of the reasons that we can actually play this move is because this knight is not on its natural square of f3. So when we play this move, we're not dropping the e5 pawn. Before, if the knight is on f3, we can't play moves like this. So the knight being on c3 and not on f3, we can play knight to a5 and look to snatch off that bishop here. Right, so that's the idea going forward. But instead, bishop to b4 was played, and bishop to g5 followed. So I analyzed this game before I started the record. As a part of my training, I didn't use engines to analyze. After my analysis and the variations I wrote down, then I checked my variations with the engine to make sure that they weren't off or anything. Um, but it all comes from me sitting over the board trying to figure stuff out for myself. Because that's how you train, right? Active training, active learning. Yars. So in the game, knight d4 was played. I didn't like this move. This move looked very bad. It breaks principle because we are moving the same piece twice in the opening. If we look at white's pieces, he hasn't moved anything twice. He didn't move the bishop twice. He didn't move this knight twice. Nothing moved twice. But we are moving our knight twice into the center. I don't like it. And Alekhine is going to play in a very active way to punish this move, possibly punish this move. And he's going to do something right now. He's going to attack. He's going to play a3. Ask the bishop, hey, what are you doing on b4? Let me ask you a question. Where do you want to go? How dare you come into my territory? Come out. The bishop took on c3, pawn took, and now the knight goes back to e6, attacking the bishop on g5. Now, possibly white has to take the knight or play a move like bishop to e3 and finish his development. But he plays this move, this enterprising move in the game. It's a very interesting move. Pawn to h4. Now, one of the things about this move, if black takes, then white is perfectly fine. But he doesn't have to take. I don't trust the move. I don't trust h4. In the book, I think he gave this exclam or something as this very good move. But I don't trust h4. I believe just like in the Caro-Kann, where white plays h4, this might be a weakness in the long term and might be exploited later on, like Sam Shanklin wrote a book about pawns, and I think one of the chapters having to deal with pawns, not being able to go back and wishing that they were on the original square and not having moved. This might be a weakness in the long run, something that we possibly don't want for ourselves in the position. So let me give you this red ticky right here, this red marker says that this is a weakness. But this is how I think about chess many times. But maybe that's not what's going to be played. So let's see. If the knight should take, pawn takes, um, maybe a move like d5. But I think if we take here and he takes here, we take here, rook to g8, we have this move. Queen g5, and the most active move for our queen. And all of a sudden, if we look at the board, um, white has these amazing center pawns. He just took this pawn with check. He's going to get to protect the g2 pawn, and he has the advantage. He has the advantage in this game. These nice center pawns is something that people die for. or they choke on when somebody else has it. But let's continue with the game of what really happened in the game. So this is a very interesting game, by the way. Very interesting. This this pawn push. Hmm. But this move h6 just shuts down all of those ideas, right? H6 just says, hey, what are you doing in my side of the board with that bishop? So just like a3 asked black, what are you doing? I think this move is saying, what are you doing on my side of the board, right? So the bishop goes back, possibly best here to take, but he's preserving the bishop here. And I believe that black is perfectly fine. Queen f3 looks very active and good. Bishop to d7. Okay, we're trying to castle queenside. G4. Now, this is another move that I really, I don't trust this move. I don't trust this G4 move. I think better was to play knight to e2 and then look to play knight to g3 and, play normal chess. We develop our pieces before we look to attack or anything. But g4 is a bit enterprising. You know, it's also a weakness. No, I think the idea of this move is to play g5, and when the knight goes back to g8, we can say that, okay, our pieces are more active than our opponent's pieces. His rook is disconnected because his knight is on g8. His pieces are looking weird on the back rank. So, we can get a little peek into Alekhine's style just from this game that, he would play aggressive moves that presented his opponent with problems. But not only that, he would play moves that gets rid of the activity of his opponents and promotes his activity. Right. So queen comes to e7, g5, knight goes back, rook to b1. This is a very nice move, by the way. Very nice move, you're putting the rook on an open file, you're putting pressure on b7. But if I should analyze this position here, white still hasn't developed his knight. My knight is on the back rank, and the most important thing for me to do is castle. Now, somebody might look at this and say, oh, I'm castling into attack. I don't believe so. I've seen a lot of chess games from Petrosian, games from Ulf Anderson, and I believe that after I castle, I'm perfectly fine, and I'm just going to say, mate, me make me see. I don't believe that attack works or it's sound at all. So let's say we castle, knight comes out, and I just get rid of that tension over there, open up a file for my rook. I play b6, looks like a weakness, but how are you gonna break through? Maybe I have later on plans of a4, but can't play that right now. I will just castle into your imaginary checkmate that you have planning and just get a better position. And all of a sudden, after these normal moves, black is looking fine. Black is looking fine and dandy. I would say that he's better here. Like bishop check is not really like something I'm going to worry about because my king can just move over and then, hey, what are you really doing? I don't know. So I'm not impressed by this g4 idea. Yeah, I'm not impressed. But bishop c7, let's see what happened in the game. Knight develops all natural moves. No, this move. Oh my god, this move. There are weaknesses on this diagonal. There are weaknesses on this diagonal. There are ideas on this diagonal, and your king is in castle just like my king now. Before, black had not an advantage, but he was just equal. But now white is playing for something. I wonder how Alekhine continues. He puts his queen on the same diagonal as the knight, and now he has ideas. Rook over. No, Alekhine is attacking. He's opening lines to attack, right? F5. F5. The thing about this move, this is not a good move. You know, the idea is, black is saying, okay, if this pawn moves, it's pin because I'm looking at a rook. But, Alekhine is looking at a king. And he continues by taking the pawn, bishop takes, and he plays pawn takes here. Now, one of the things, the king goes back, maybe even king to e8 was better here. d8, sorry. But he goes back to c8, and Alekhine plays this a very beautiful move. Like, I wonder if anybody can find it. You can pause the video and see if you can find a way for Alekhine to continue here. All right, but the way he continues, this king is completely trapped off over here. I just gave up an exchange because I took your knight, you took my rook. So yeah, I also took a pawn. So you took my rook, I took your knight and a pawn, and now this king over here is looking trapped. So I wish that my queen could make it all the way over here, right? If that could happen, that would be the greatest thing in the world. Alekhine plays a lovely move, queen back to g1, right? Queen back to g1, and now I'm attacking the bishop, and I'm attacking the pawn on a7. And if I get over there, it's over, right? It's over. And all of a sudden, so look, he didn't even bother to take this piece right here. Waste of time, right? That's a waste of time. We're attacking. Take the pawn on a7, and all of a sudden, oh my God, you can't play king down because I'm playing rook up. I'm threatening queen takes, and then queen takes here. Uh, oh my God. Queen takes at, I'm putting queen check at a8, and rook takes on b7. I don't like this for the guy. All right, he played bishop. He played pawn to c5. That is protecting the b7 pawn. Um, so all of a sudden, Alekhine plays a very ingenious move, d4. We have plans of later on playing this d5 move. So even if the bishop does come back, we get to play d5 and kick the bishop off of that square. And then we have our ideas. Queen comes over, d5, and all of a sudden, the bishop is restricted from the attack. He can't come back in. So it looks like even giving up this rook over here just entombed the bishop. The bishop can no longer come into this game. He's locked out, right? So let's continue. Knight developed. Oh, let me finally bring out a piece when I'm going to get mated or possibly lose something. Rook takes b7. This is just barging in. The bishop is now gonna come to a6, and this is just clinical now. This is rough. All of this is rough. The pawn was gonna promote. He takes, knight takes, and all of a sudden this is over. White's pieces are very active. One of the things is two rooks are just as powerful as a queen, right? A bishop, one bishop, but I also have a knight. But not only that, your king position is too exposed. Your king is too exposed in this position. So it's not gonna work out for you. Check, king comes there, and this beautiful move right here. Queen to b8. Queen to b8. Just, oh my God. Queen to b8. But what happened in this game? That's one of the things. So it's not just about seeing all these moves and fancy variations, but the thing is, what happened in this game? Why did it turn out to be like this? What could black have done differently? Right? So let's see what black did wrong. Firstly, I don't think he considered some better moves for himself. This bishop, I don't think it should be on b4, but by no means does that let him lose the game. Knight d4 is a very inaccurate move. Let's not move the knight the same piece twice in the opening. Possibly better was just d6 and finishing our development and getting our king castled. The things that we must do in the opening, it's just principles. Bishop takes. Knight goes back, h4. I'm not impressed by the move. It has lovely ideas. It's an interesting move, but I'm still not impressed by the move actually. H6 and I like black's position, I'm a type of player that likes defensive things sometimes where, I have the better structure. I might not be the most active right now, but I'm gonna figure it out. D6, Queen F3, all these moves are very active and good. And another move that I'm not convinced by G4 is not the best move, but I do understand. I think the best move is knight to E2, knight to G3, the merit of just developing the piece, getting it in the game. White didn't decide to castle in this game. One of the things is this pawn structure right here is synonymous to a winner type French. Even though, and one of the benefits is that black doesn't have the C file to play with like in the French. So this pawn structure right here, the king in the winner of French sometime gets to come to d2, and he's actually safe in the center. So I believe that Alekhine saw this idea and decided that, okay, I'm not going to castle my king. I'm just going to go wild and mate this guy, right? So this pawn structure is very synonymous to Alekhine, not the Alekhine, the winner of French, although black is not playing a French structure. But one of the benefits, added benefits for white is that the C file isn't open. So the counterplay is not as dynamic like as in the French, where you have to play on the king side and black is trying to play on the queen side and so on. So it's a little bit slower for black, but I don't believe that black is losing at all. He is perfectly fine. Even though we are down on some space right now, and this might come back to bite us. Right here, very important thing, black should have just castled this king and just look for ways to, improve his position slowly. And just this position right here that you're looking at, and I calculated this, checked it with the engine, and it's perfectly fine in terms of logical that white would play if I played this variation, and it was perfectly fine. So this is a way that black could have played to have a better game. Actually, he's not losing. A very creative line here is bishop takes though, and queen takes, and knight to g5. But a cool thing that we could actually do here, we could actually take this rook, and even if he takes our queen, we take this rook. Even if he takes our knight, we have a very powerful move here that threatens mate in one, bishop to g4. And I think he has to play queen to f5 and give up his queen for the bishop. And when we look at the board, it's easy to see that black is winning, right? Black is winning. There's no debate about that. Black's winning. So this was a very interesting game. I got to see something from Alekhine. I would surmise, I'm going to analyze more of his games, but I would say that Alekhine looks to play aggressive chess. He looked for very active moves, and he looks to challenge his opponent in terms of the initiative. He likes to do moves that makes his opponent think and gives them room to make mistakes. Even though they might not be the best move at times, they are not like horrible moves, but they're very challenging moves. And he loves to not only gain space, but restrict his opponent's pieces while bettering his own. So that was the Alekhine versus what was his name again? This is bad. Bernard Gregory. And that game was played in 1909. I hope you enjoyed the analysis. Hope you learned something new if you didn't learn anything. And if you hated this video and you don't like me or anything, let me know in the comments. And if you do like the video, like and subscribe and leave a comment. You can even send me an email or something. maybe you want me to look over a different type of game and give my analysis on it or anything, whatever. Okay,